For him, Verstappen across the line now. That's the sound you can hear. Up through into 8th gear and, well, easing off before the corner there, Max Verstappen. So not on a push lap this time around. The order is Russell, Verstappen, Albon, Bottas, Kvyat the top 5, Gasly, Ocon, Vettel, Ricciardo, Leclerc the top 10. Brendan wanted to know what significant meal your friends are having when they're having this Lewis discussion down the pub, Jolyon. That's the important thing to know in this day and age, isn't it? And we've got 7 minutes left on the clock. Yeah, I think just to be super clear, because I think some of you missing the point slightly, we're not knocking Lewis Hamilton in any sense of the word. We still think he's one of the greatest drivers of all time, if not the greatest driver of all time. And as Andrew said, this is a reflection on Russell's ability rather than a negative reflection on...
So the other cars that are 5 laps ahead of us are starting to deg off. That last lap you did was about 1/10 quicker than Lance and Ricciardo. Ocon 1/10 faster than you. It'll be 8 more laps, 8 more laps. Try a bit slower into 1 for a better exit.
No, it doesn't work.
Yeah, copy.
Hold on to the end of 2021, or do you think he could be pushed out sooner or leave sooner?
Oh, no, I wouldn't have. That's not a Mercedes move, really, is it?
No, I think he'll stay, and Mercedes, you know, here's the support role for Hamilton. I think he'll stay, and then that'll be his final year, really, with the team. If he gets beaten by Russell in this weekend and possibly next. But there's a long way to go. We should also say there's a long way to go. We've only had not even.
How is the tyre? How's the deg?
Holding up, sort of okay.
Slightly lower fuel car, or maybe they are. But it's the way that he's overdriving. How many laps has he had to back out of because of driver error, overdriving mistakes? I don't think you could even count them on one hand. I mean, there's a lot, and we've not seen a lot of mistakes from Russell either, and he's looking extremely quick, and he's very likely at this point to top the session.
Got Eddie Irvine's name wrong, didn't I? He's Edmund Irvine, of course, not Edward Irvine. My apologies, Edmund, if you're listening. 5 minutes to which...
What's wrong with Eddie?
No, I was just saying his full name, and I said the wrong name. There's nothing wrong with Eddie. But I doubt he's listening to BB's F1 coverage of free practice, because he's not...
it wasn't him that corrected you then?
No, it was second Lesmo.
For reference, Perez heading up to 58.7, 58.8 now.
Keeping out of someone's way. Albon's returned to the pits. Albon's had a good run today, and I think it's worth actually just reflecting on that performance from him last week in Bahrain. I would also say, actually, that make sure you download the Checkered Flag podcast from last night, because I think it was quite interesting, and we're going to be doing a different show for tonight. Here's Bottas is ready.
I don't know what's going on. I keep locking the front left in turn 1.
Bottas locking the front left in turn 1 as well. I feel like I don't know, maybe I'm making this up. It feels like I've seen a lot of outside locking, whereas usually it's the inside, but maybe I'm making that up. Kevin Magnussen running wide through turn 8. And the sound now is Bottas coming down the start-finish straight again. Let's see whether he has any such troubles this time around. Over the start-finish line, down towards turn 1.
Okay, Kimi, more charge, and that's 3 minutes into the session. So suggest box for Les Robert. So that's still 2 seconds ahead of both Toro Rosso.
What did it say? Box?
Box for Les Robert.
Results and qualifyings were good and what you'd expect, but the reality wasn't really there, especially in the race.
No, the reality was he was fourth, and fourth because Bottas had an issue with his slow puncture, which then you'd have thought would be fifth. And but then he was fourth, and then third because Perez, who drove away from him ever so slightly in the race, had an engine issue. Albon so far has been judged by the lowest barometer from Christian Horner, who said that that's exactly what they want Albon to do, to be fourth behind Sergio, but make the most of Sergio, other drivers having problems.
Max, track limits at turn 8 from P2 will be the red and white curb.
Okay, good to know.
A very different sport, I think, and the Red Bull driver program history would look very different as well. So I don't think it was a particularly impressive effort from Albon last week, but I do think he started this weekend actually quite well. I think this is as strong a session as we've seen from him so far. In third place ahead of Bottas, who's just run wide at turn 8 now on a long run. I think he's done better so far. So maybe this is the one where he's going to take podium momentum into the next week. But no, I don't think many people were overly impressed with his podium drive. But nonetheless, good that he ended up there and had the podium feels again.
And of course, it's only Friday practice. Let's obviously be clear about that. With regards to Russell's performance out there in the Mercedes, Molesworth says, using the hashtag BBCF1.
On box this lap, static pit stop, box.
The F1, which is amusing. Pretty harsh way to speak about Jolyon and Jenny, but there we go. An hour and minute and 15 seconds left, and the sound you can hear is Verstappen rattling his way through turns 7 and 8. And then out onto the back straight. A minute to go, and he's going to finish 1/10 of a second slower than George Russell by the looks of things. Albon already out of his car, looking at the data over to the left-hand side of the Red Bull that's parked in the garage, looking at the various screens and information that he's got on the wall there. And also a good day for AlphaTauri, or a good first session anyway for AlphaTauri, with Daniel Kvyat and Pierre Gasly in 5th and 6th position. Kvyat in particular, I feel in recent weeks has started to look pretty quick actually, but running in 5th ahead of Gasly in this one.
Box, Danny, box, pit entry test.
Another one that I would say we haven't really seen a huge amount from, and as I say that, Sainz comes down towards turn 1. Oh, he was going quick, but that's because he had a big old slipstream from Daniel Ricciardo in front of him. But yeah, McLaren are a little adrift of where you'd expect them to be, but everybody else sort of in the right positions, you'd have thought, as the checker flag comes out. And that is the end of first free practice. We'll be back in 2.5 hours' time. No, it's less than that, isn't it? Because we went for the half-past start on this one. But anyway, Russell ends it quickest on a 54.546. 1/10 of a second quicker than Max Verstappen, 2/10 clear of Albon, Bottas in 4th, Kvyat 5th, Gasly, Ocon, Vettel, Ricciardo, Leclerc the top 10, Stroll, Perez, Sainz, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi the top 15, Norris, Magnussen, Latifi, Fittipaldi and Jack Aitken the 20 drivers.
I think you were right, 2.5 hours.
Oh, I am.